Hi, I'm Tony Bedard, and I believe comics are literature, and you're watching Sequentially Yours.
Hi there, I'm Karu.
And I'm Debbie.
And this is Sequentially Yours, Cinematically Ours. This is the show where we look over the most recent superhero movies, and boy do we have a lot of them this year, and tell you what we think of them and connect them back to the comics. So, Black Panther. It was okay. Nah, I'm just kidding. It was incredible.
I couldn't resist. It was amazing. Oh my god, it was amazing.
Yeah, she can't play it cool about this movie, and I can't blame her. It's an astonishing film on a number of levels. Not just as a superhero film, but as a film.
So good.
Yeah, I think part of it is that the smartest thing that they did was get Ryan Coogler involved in this. The man has not made a bad movie. He
Truth.
just has not made he has not made an okay movie. He hasn't made a mediocre movie. All of his movies have been phenomenal. So, yeah, this was a very, very smart move on Marvel's part to get him to do this film.
Indeed.
Go.
Oh, just agreeing with you. The directing was amazing. Monkey.
Sorry, we're trying to keep the cat from getting to the wires, so if we occasionally talk to him, please ignore.
Hey, kid. I didn't give you a command. You don't get a treat if I didn't give you a command.
No, that's not the way that works. Alright, so, anyway, yes, the directing on this is amazing. The production design is just absolutely killer. Just phenomenal on so many levels. Seeing Birnin Zana for the first time was the exact same feeling I had seeing Asgard for the first time back when Thor, the original, came out. It's that sense of wonder and amazement that just permeates the scene, and it is so wonderfully shot that the reveal is exactly the kind of reveal that you would want as a viewer, and it helps that the characters are experiencing it in much the same way.
I'm gonna pause you for just a minute and be the voice of the audience. What?
Birnin Zana, the Golden City, the capital city of Wakanda. Birnin basically means city, so there's, so when you're, reading Black Panther books, it's Birnin it's whatever city, basically.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Yeah, Birnin Zana is the capital, the Golden City.
I don't think, do they actually name it in the movie?
They do not know.
Okay.
They imply that there's only the one, to be honest.
Yeah, you see the city and you see some outlying areas.
Yeah, well, that's fair, and that's probably a smart move because Wakanda over the years has gotten so textured that trying to introduce it all in this movie would have been overwhelming. As it was, it almost was overwhelming. There was almost too much to this world that they created. That being said, it worked out to be enough. It worked out to be just enough.
I didn't feel like it was almost too much. I felt like I was a world I wanted to know more about, honestly.
Fair, which, that's what a good second movie would do a great job of that.
Absolutely.
Although I suspect a second movie would take place in America or someplace else.
Probably, considering this is also in the MCU.
Yeah.
But if they make another movie, and I said this on Twitter, I want a love story between the general, children.
Yeah.
I want a love story between the general and Wakabi.
Wakabi, yes.
Or how they, their love story.
Yeah, because Okoye and Wakabi...
Thank you.
Yeah. Okoye and Wakabi definitely, there was a thing there. I think it was supposed to be implied that they were spouses or that they were dating or something along those lines.
Yes. Well, it was definitely more than implied. Because she says at one point when he and T'Challa come in, she's like, my king, my love.
Ah, yeah. Fair.
So, yeah, no, they
Yeah, that's
made
true,
that
that's right, yeah.
explicit. There was
Fair.
a relationship of some kind there.
Absolutely, yeah. I
then-
would like to see that. I would like to see in the next one, Io was in this. So Io and Aneka, who are two Dora Milaje that in the Ta-Nehisi Coates run of the comics are, so they're in love and it ends up leading to a revolution in Wakanda. It's really a fascinating story. Roxanne Gay also in Black Panther World of Wakanda, the unfortunately short-lived book. That goes a little bit more into their backstory, and it's about the development of their relationship. And we already have Io in here. Let's just add Aneka and have that work.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna be the voice of the audience again and pause you. And I think the Dora Milaje did get named in the movie, but I don't think, with all these unfamiliar names, I don't think many people picked up on what the Dora Milaje are. So you probably better explain it.
Okay, the Dora Milaje in the Black Panther universe are essentially the King of Wakanda's bodyguards / potential wives. It's a Hwasa, I believe is the language word that means adored ones. Initially, there were only 2 of them. In the comics, Christopher Priest introduced the concept, and the idea was that what's up?
Keep talking.
Yeah. The idea was that 2 tribes that were not getting along would each contribute one young girl to be a member of the Dora Milaje, and the fact that both of them could potentially be the king's wife meant that that would help the tribes get along better, but it also provided him with really good bodyguards and personal assistants and shafuses. Okoye and Nakia were the original 2 Dora Milaje in Christopher Priest's run from 98 to 2003. I'm glad that they did much better with Nakia in this. She is one of T'Challa's, she's ex-girlfriends in this case, and she is a phenomenal character. Just, I love her on so many levels. Basically, she's a Wakandan spy, but she's also always encouraging him to start reaching out to the rest of the world, saying that Wakanda has so many resources and so much to give and so many ways they could help, and yet they don't because of this kind of sense of isolationism that has just been there for so long. Nakia in the comics is a 16-year-old girl with a crush on T'Challa who eventually tries to kill one of his exes because she's jealous.
Whoa.
Yeah. On the other hand, she is replaced with Queen Divine Justice, who is amazing. One of my favorite comic characters from the Black Panther universe. That's her nickname. That's not her actual name.
Oh, okay.
She's a girl from Brooklyn who's got this great attitude and basically is partially Wakandan from Nakia's, she's descended from Nakia's tribe. So basically they're like, the tribe's chosen you as the new Dora Milaje. And she's like, what? I'm 16. I live in Brooklyn. I don't even know anything about Wakanda. I don't speak the language. What's going on here? But she is fantastic. She is all social justice-y. She convinced the Hulk to not throw a car at T'Challa because T'Challa, yes. Because it's somebody else's car, you see. And he's causing damage to people who don't deserve it. And then the cops come, she's like, you can throw that car at him.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so I want Queen Divine Justice in Black Panther 2 so badly. But yes, I'm glad that they made Nakia a better character in this, and Lupita Nyong'o does such a wonderful job with this character.
Now, in the movie, all of the women warriors, or the Wakandan female warriors, are considered Dora Milaje, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. All the women with shaved heads.
Yes, they have the uniform and whatnot.
Okay.
I guess Nakia is kind of a woman warrior in the sense that she's a spy, but she's not Dora Milaje.
Yeah. Fair point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The king's it's basically the king's bodyguards and his personal guard, basically.
Yeah. They also guard the rest of the royal family too. So
Well,
Ramonda and Shuri
okay.
and all that.
It's the same concept as the King's Guard in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, or I guess the Secret Service.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, only without the whole treasury thing.
Well. It's sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so Nakia, phenomenal. Okoye, incredible in this.
Okoye is played by Danai Gurira, Michonne from
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Thank
Yeah.
you. Forgive me if we butcher any of these names. Forgive us. These are I had trouble remembering a lot of them because they are, to our very white American ears, they are unusual. So again, apologies if we butcher any of them.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else? Shuri, I think, was very much the standout for me. She was incredible. So Letitia Wright plays her, and just brings this energy to the character. This, a 16-year-old genius in the best way. She and Chadwick Boseman have such great chemistry as a brother-sister pair. Mm-hmm. And she's absolutely my favorite part of this movie.
Mine too. I totally have a crush on her now because she's smart and adorable and capable and a badass, as you find out at the end in the ending fight scene. She gets her gauntlets and she goes out to fight everybody. And
yeah, I almost want those toys, the cat-shaped gauntlets that they shoot like foam darts.
Yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She looked great in that armor she had built for herself. Because she's basically the Q of the movie. She's super, super smart, and she's super, super good at engineering and can build all kinds of things, and she's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Shuri was fantastic. I'm trying to leave that one for last, so I'm trying to think who else. Forrest Whitaker as, what was the character's name now? Zuri, yes. Zuri's another character that was a Christopher Priest character, but completely different from this, other than the fact that they were both good friends of T'Chaka. Priest Zuri is kind of just a big guy, a big dumb guy, who hangs out with T'Challa, and he's a good fighter, and he's fun to be around. He'll get drunk and start talking about Wakandan history. Mostly stuff that he was there for. But yeah, Zuri in the comics is a lot of fun, but this Zuri was an interesting take, and I really enjoyed him. He fit well with everything else, and Whitaker is such a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
That it works out really, really well. That being said, though, I'm a little disappointed that we'll never get Zuri and Thor starting to fight one another and then comparing history, because they're both those old times of fighters who start describing their best battles and then just eventually become the best of friends because like, oh, that sounds great. Oh, that's fantastic. They...
Yeah.
Like, they start fighting, and it's like, I was at this battle. Well, I was at this battle. Oh, you were? Oh.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, who knows? It is comic books, so we could possibly get Zuri back.
Yeah.
There is a non-zero chance of that.
Yeah. Infinity Serum or something.
Yeah, it's...
M'Baku is in this. Manape in the comics, or the early parts of the comics. And again, he is...
Good job.
I'd say that he's a much better character in this film than he ever was in the comics. In the comics, he's basically just an antagonist, a big, angry guy who wants to take the throne of Wakanda. Here, he is given a lot of nuance. He is a rival tribal leader, yes, but he recognizes that a strong Wakanda is good for everybody, that his own people... He thinks in terms of, how do I keep my people safe? What are the risks I'm willing to take? Which ones am I not willing to take? Etc. He's a phenomenally drawn character in this case.
In one of the beginning scenes of the movie, this is not really a spoiler. He challenges T'Challa for leadership rights. which is it's part of their tradition. He has the right to do, and but he does it in they have if there are any challengers, the heir to the throne has to fight them without the Black Panther powers. So he comes in this and challenges him, and T'Challa does beat him. But he's clearly a good leader because while he does want the throne, he goes about it in the proper way according to their society.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to tear down Wakandan society, and he clearly, you do see him later as a leader of his tribe, and he seems to be a good leader.
Yeah.
And the people seem to like him, and he is someone that, clearly would probably make a good king.
Probably, yeah. The comic M'Baku probably would not, but this guy, I could see him as being a genuine leader and being able to rule Wakanda in a reasonable way.
Yeah. Yeah, and once T'Challa beats him, he accepts it. He does yield, and and then he does it. Yeah,
they have respect for one another, and it works out well. That respect is very clear and very well laid out.
Yeah.
So that when it comes up later, we're not in the spoiler section yet, but when it comes up later, I can see how he would react the way he does.
Yeah, he doesn't make more trouble for T'Challa once T'Challa has bested him.
Yeah.
He seems to be definitely an honorable character. Mm-hmm. I would mention Angela Bassett as Ramonda, the mom, T'Challa, and Shuri's mom. And she's the queen because she's amazing.
She's the queen mother.
Yes, but she's also just the queen.
She's Angela Bassett.
Because she's amazing, and I'm a huge fan of American Horror Story, and I fell in love with her in that. And she was amazing here, and just she got my heart. She's amazing. Let's see, Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah, Daniel
as W'Kabi.
Yep. That was a good, for a small role, he did a good job with it. He really put his all into. Nobody came to this movie without being willing to play.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody put their heart and soul into this film from step one to the last day of shooting, and then well into editing.
Yeah.
And he really did a phenomenal job with portraying, again, a very nuanced character.
Yes, he is. Seems to be T'Challa's best friend, and he's the leader of one of the tribes, the tribe that raises the battle rhinos, which
armored battle rhinos.
Which
so cool.
Fight right into the final battle. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. But he is also the husband or the husband lover, whatever capacity it's never made fully clear, of Okoye, and he's it's if you don't know the name, it's the main character from Get Out.
Yeah,
and he was also awesome.
He was. One thing that I liked in the costume design is W'Kabi in the comics has no left arm. It's a mechanical one, much like the Winter Soldiers. Mm-hmm. So if you look at him throughout the movie, his left arm is almost always covered, or his costumes are cut in such a way that it seems to exclude that arm. Mm-hmm. Like everything else is part of one thing, and that arm is separated somehow. It's a really interesting visual costume thing to reference this little bit of comic stuff that is not actually, there are already enough people with a missing left arm in this movie. We really didn't need another one.
That's fair.
There are enough mechanical left arms that W'Kabi didn't need it, but we could at least reference it visually in a sort of interesting way.
And I didn't pick up on that, but I haven't read the comics, so I'm sure if we watch it again, I'll pick up on that on a second viewing.
Martin Freeman as Everett Ross.
Yep.
All right, so walking into this, I was a little afraid because Everett Ross is not frequently given a whole lot of dignity in the comics. Again, particularly when you're looking at the Priest run, the guy just does not catch a break. He is a constant running joke as the self-proclaimed whitest man in the world. And Christopher Priest has a really weird sense of humor that is... Imagine if a 12-year-old watched a lot of evening news shows. That's sort of Chris Priest's sense of humor, and that's what we got with this. And I was like, man, I hope that Everett Ross is given at least a little bit of dignity in this. And is he ever?
Oh yeah. He's great. It is weird to hear Martin Freeman with an American accent. I don't know why it didn't really register with me, like in, what was it?
Civil War.
Civil War. Yes,
Yeah.
It was Civil War. It didn't really register with me there, but here it really, like, a couple times I'm like, ooh, you are struggling with that American accent a little bit, I think. But it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's kind of, that's a nitpick.
And then we have Andy Serkis as Ulysses Claw.
The two, as has been said in all the videos, and we'll say it too, the Tolkien white guys.
Yep. Yeah. But, Claw is really well done. I believe him. That accent was good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
His accent felt so natural.
His South African accent, yes.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yes.
Beautifully done.
Yes.
There is a mid-movie twist involving him that, again, we're not going to get into in the spoiler-free section, but
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that I was surprised that I was willing to go here. I think I know where they're going to go with it, but it did surprise me when it happened.
Yeah, he makes sense. When he's in the movie, he makes sense. And he doesn't... I feel like he gets just enough screen time. Both he and Martin Freeman get an okay amount of screen time, but they're definitely side characters.
Yeah.
And also, Andy Serkis was clearly having a hell of a good time.
Oh, yeah.
He was chewing all of the scenery, and it was amazing.
Yeah. It helps that the scenery is so beautifully realized that he has plenty to go on.
Yes.
Yeah, one thing, speaking of the scenery, again, the production design on this was really good. The look of Wakanda is just gorgeous, but also it felt lived in.
Yes.
Like, particularly the streets of Birnanzana, as they're walking through it at various points in the film, it feels like a city. You know, it feels like a modern city. It doesn't feel either grungy nor too clean.
Like, Asgard has always felt too clean to me.
And it's supposed to, because it's a mythical city. Mm-hmm. You know, it's supposed to be too clean.
And but yeah, exactly. This feels like a nice city, but still a city.
Yeah. One thing that I particularly liked is that graffiti is used as art in this, but not in the sense of the way that we do it now, which is this is still illegal and it is street art, nor in the way that you can legally have a mural painted. It's more that it is graffiti is a very clearly accepted art form in Wakanda. It's on all the walls, including in Shuri's lab in the mound. But it also doesn't have that clean, planned look of a mural, or even a graffiti mural that it seems like somebody spent a lot of time saying, how are we going to make this how are we going to distinguish this from...
How are we going to make this socially acceptable?
Exactly. It doesn't look socially acceptable, but it also looks beautiful and artistic and really well done. And I mean, there are times, especially outside, where you see people have just tagged an area with their name. But again, the tags work and they fit into this society that melds sort of an urban and rural feel to it.
Aesthetic,
I think is
the word you're looking for.
Yeah, it is, yeah. It's definitely Afrofuturism, but it's got a lot of other aspects to it, and the production design on it was just so well planned and so well thought
Yeah.
out.
And I would guess, given talking about the graffiti, I would guess that probably it's basically, as long as it meets, I suppose, certain standards of quality, and maybe there is some amount of, we'll leave it alone as long as it's, it enhances the public space.
Yeah.
That they're allowed to do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess that it's probably they probably study under an artist, a master, or whatever, and you can't just. It doesn't seem like you can just go out and tag whatever you want.
I thought that you could, but that
Well-
Wakanda is just the place where people do that responsibly by their
Well, maybe
by the
maybe
nature of
that's
the
it.
society.
Maybe that's it. Fair. It's.
Yeah. Plus, I also assume that Wakanda could easily clean up graffiti, like with a sonic
That's probably
a sonic
true.
device that just wipes it away.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So it's not. They don't bother with it because if they wanted to, they could, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Yeah.
here, where we would need turpentine and a lot of work and
Right.
scrubbing and all that
Right,
if you didn't
right.
like it.
Well, we should.
Yeah, we're gonna go into
on.
this. Let's go into the
Keep on
spoil.
track.
Yeah, let's go into the spoiler territory so that we can talk
Yeah.
about the character we haven't
Yeah.
mentioned yet. So,
Spoilers.
okay. So we haven't talked about Killmonger yet.
Yes.
The villain of this, who, believe the hype. If you have not seen this already, believe the hype.
Yes.
Eric Stevenson, Killmonger in this, Michael B. Jordan's character, is one of the best, if not the best, Marvel villain to
Yeah.
date.
Yeah.
And
I would say the best.
Yeah, and I can tell you that for me, the reason is that he's not wrong. Like, it's not even that I can see things from his perspective. It's that up to a certain point, he is flat out correct.
Yeah. And it reminds me of something that we do need to talk a little bit about, is the fact that this doesn't pull punches when it comes to colonialism and racism.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say too much because obviously we are both white people, so,
Yeah.
we are absolute allies, but we're, not it's a movie especially for Africans and African Americans. So it's,
Yeah.
not wanting to say that, but definitely they addressed that straight. I mean, they literally, at one point, the villain says he does not want to see the sun set on the Wakandan Empire, which that line took my breath away, because I was not expecting them to be quite that straightforward about it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's, the thing is that, so the character in this case is the son of T'Chaka's brother. So he's T'Challa's cousin, is what we end up finding out. His Wakanda name is N'Jadaka. I'm very terrible at pronouncing that one, because they only mention it once in the movie.
He's usually referred to as Eric or Killmonger.
Yeah. And, the character in the comics was actually pretty good in his own way, despite the fact that his name was literally Eric Killmonger in the comics. Here, Killmonger is a nickname. His name's Eric Stevenson.
He was in the military. His father had been sent to the U.S. as a spy, and he fell in love with an American woman, and which I'm assuming, I don't think they ever made it explicit, but I'm guessing he fell in love with an African American woman.
Yes.
I would guess, and they have a child, which is Eric or Killmonger, and there is clashes. We are in the spoiler section, so T'Chaka does end up killing him and leaving the kid behind.
Yeah.
And he ends up going into the U.S. military, and he gains the name Killmonger because he was part of Black Ops and Special Forces, and he's killed a lot of people.
Yeah. The reveal on this is incredible, because basically it starts out with him saying that he does scarification for everybody he kills, and he pulls up his arm, and you see this arm is covered in...
Kid!
His arm is covered in scars from, people that he's killed. It's like, oh, wow. And you look at that and you're like, oh, wow, that's quite a lot. You have certainly killed quite a few people, Killmonger. Well done. And then later on in the film, as he and T'Challa are about to fight, you see him take off his shirt, and his entire torso is covered in these scars. Front and back. It was such a great reveal.
It was pretty mind-blowing. It really was. Because you already found this character very intimidating. Because they show him in the first scene he's in. He comes across as very smart and very capable already. And you see, he's killed a bunch of people. And you see when he pulls up the sleeve. And then you see him take off his shirt. And his chest and back are covered.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy is terrifying.
That being said, I don't think he can kill anybody else, otherwise it's going to ruin that great pattern. Like, it would I would have to kill a lot of people very, very quickly, because I would just be driven nuts by the imbalance of it all. Like, I've got one scar now, what am I supposed to do now? I need more scars. I need more scars, which means I need to kill a lot more people.
He's got legs. He could start scarring up his legs.
Well, yeah, but he'd have to kill like 70 people per leg. It would have to be a mass thing.
And he probably would.
Very possibly, yes.
To be clear, while yes, Killmonger does absolutely have some good points, he's also a psychopath.
He is. But his basic thing is that he also thinks, much like Nakia, that Wakanda needs to be out there actually making the world a better place. This is what his father...
Okay, well...
Okay, let's hear.
I think... That's not... I would not say that's correct. I think Nakia, yes, she wants to make the world a better place. Killmonger wants revenge for black people.
Yeah.
Basically.
But he wants to make the world better that he sees it as making the world better. That there is alright, so basically the way that he sees it is that oppressed people around the world can use Wakandan weapons to rise up against their oppressors, and Wakanda can be a better ruler than these other countries.
He basically wants... Really, honestly, he wants to take over the world.
He does want to take over the world, but I can understand why he wants to take over the world, and he's not wrong that if you have the ability to help oppressed peoples, you should. You could argue whether the way to do that is to give them sci-fi weapons and have them shoot their oppressors, but
I think that at this point I partially disagree with it, because yes, I think that's what he tells himself, that he wants to make the world a better place, and that he does in an abstract sort of way care about that, but I think in reality, all he really cares about is revenge. And I think that he has been so poisoned by awful things that have happened to him, that I don't think that's actually what he wants. At least that's my take on it.
I thought that he genuinely felt that way, just because he comes across as somebody who has clearly studied philosophy and history. He is an intellectual as well as a warrior, in much the same way that T'Challa is. He has come to a different conclusion because he's had different experiences.
Yes, but I think... Yes, but it doesn't make just going out and slaughtering, essentially handing out these weapons to go out and slaughter people, that result does not make the world a better place. And yes, I agree. I sympathize with his motivation, why he feels this way. To be clear, I'm not dissing that, but it's the point of, but what you're advocating for here is mass slaughter.
Yeah, he is.
And that, I guess it's, I think that he tells himself that what he wants, and he probably believes. Let me back up. I'm sure he believes that's what he's aiming for here. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's down deep inside, that's actually what he wants.
See, I do think that. I think that he sees this as not slaughter, but a war, where his side is vastly underfunded and does not have the resources that they need in order to fight properly. He doesn't see himself as going out and killing innocent people. He sees himself as going out and fighting in an undeclared but still very real and just war.
Okay, fair point.
But as you can see, though, the fact that we have seen this at this point at the same time and still are getting this, that is how nuanced this character is.
Yes. And he is very sympathetic, and like I said, he does have a point. He absolutely does have a certain point. And I suppose for myself, it's completely connected to the fact that, yes, I understand that you feel justified, and I can't blame you, but what you were arguing for is the slaughter of millions of people.
Yes, exactly. And that's what makes him the villain, but it's a villain, he's a villain of circumstance in this case.
Yes.
It's, to him, he's not slaughtering millions of people, he is standing up to the Axis powers is probably the best example we have.
Yeah, you're right, and you're absolutely right. I think you're right. I think that genuinely is what he believes.
Yeah.
It's more in my mind is the fact that those two things are inextricably connected. Yes.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that's why ultimately the movie decides that Nakia's way is the better way.
Yes.
And one thing that I particularly like, and again, we're in the spoiler section, but I'm going to double spoiler this, he does die in the end.
Yeah.
They flat out kill him in the end of the movie. Well... are you going to say the thing I was just about to say?
Say what you were going to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Say what you were going to say.
T'Challa offers to save his life.
Yes.
And...
which was demonstrated before, since we were in the spoiler section. Martin Freeman's character gets shot, and they end up taking him to Wakanda because they can heal him.
Yeah. And apparently the Kimoyo beads... Kimoyo is frequently used in the comics. It was a card at one point.
It's vibranium.
Yeah, basically it's a catch-all vibranium thingamabobber.
Yeah.
It's what do we need it to do? I don't know. I guess in this case, save somebody's life.
Yeah.
Kimoyo beads could have basically stopped the bleeding because he's got a knife in his chest.
Yeah.
And he's basically says, well, what's going to happen? You're going to put me in prison? No. Let me die and bury me in the ocean with my brothers who jumped off the slave boats because they knew that death was preferable to bondage or something along those lines.
I believe he said living in chains.
I think
or a life in chains. Reference to the Midwest or the Middle Passage.
Yeah.
And
yeah, exactly.
Which was the other line that kind of blew me away that I didn't expect. I was not expecting them to go there.
Yeah. It's a beautiful line, gorgeously delivered. Michael B. Jordan absolutely just nails the hell out of this part.
Yeah.
But the whole idea here is that even to the moment of his death, he does not think that he is wrong.
Yeah.
He genuinely believes in what he's doing, and when he puts it in those terms, I have to admit that to a certain extent, he is correct.
Yeah, he is the most sympathetic type of bad guy, where to a point, they have a solid point, and you sympathize with them, you see why they become what they do, and in their own minds they're good guys.
Yeah. So yeah, Michael B. Jordan, just like I said, nailed this part.
Yeah.
He felt very natural. He felt like somebody who grew up on American streets,
Yes.
but has this legacy that he can't escape and doesn't want to escape, that he wants to fully embrace.
Yeah.
I'd also like to talk about Chadwick Boseman again, because we didn't really get into him, but his T'Challa is spot on.
Yes.
Apparently, the comics that he went to for research was the run following Priest's run, which was Who is the Black Panther, written by Reginald Hudlin, who is actually more known as a movie and television producer. He is the writer and director of House Party. He did a lot of African-American aimed comedies in the 90s. But he was also an exec producer on Django Unchained.
Oh, wow.
He was a producer on Marshall, which is where he probably met Chadwick Boseman.
Probably, yeah.
I'm willing to bet that's where they met.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And probably why Boseman went to his comics for research for T'Challa.
Yeah.
He's been an exec producer on several episodes of Boondocks. And his run on Black Panther was actually really, really good in the sense that it expanded Wakanda. It was very much... I could see why Boseman would go to this, because it was very much about the internal politics of Wakanda in the way that Priest's run was, and sort of none of the runs were before then. McGregor's Jungle Action is where we get a lot of this movie from, particularly the character of Killmonger. And when he throws T'Challa off the falls, that is right out of the comics.
Okay.
But character-wise, I could see Hudlin's run being the major influence there.
I'm sorry.
And no, go on.
Okay, I just want to say, like, we saw T'Challa in Civil War, and we saw Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, I should specify, in Civil War, and he was great. Again, you could completely feel for him and what he was going through, losing his father. And then you see more of this here, is him going home, and he goes home because he's going to be crowned king. And he's going home, without his dad. And he's going home, and he's a prince, so he's been trained all his life. So, and he's 20 something, yes?
Yeah, I'd say so.
He's an adult, and he's been prepared all his life to be a king, but at the same time, he does not feel ready.
He would be 30-something, because the flashback is in 1994, and Killmonger is clearly younger than him.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so he's...
And Killmonger was probably 8 years old in 94.
Yeah, okay, so he's in his early to mid-30s then.
Yeah, he's about our age.
Fair point, yeah. But you love his character because he is very, very much... what is it? What's the saying? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Yeah. And he's very much... He wants to be a good king. And he cares very, very much about Wakanda and the people. And he wants to serve them well. They have part of their tradition is the spirit quest. What basically amounts to a spirit quest. Yeah. And he goes and he meets and talks with his father.
Yeah, he goes to the ancestral lands, which have a name, but I can't remember it right now. I'll put it down here.
Yeah.
Because in the comics right now, Shuri is basically the embodiment of those ancestral lands and the lore and history of the people of Wakanda. It's really kind of a cool story. It's
great. Well, it's what I've seen in here. I haven't read the comics, but what's great about it is, and I'm assuming that whole thing, I'm guessing that's an actual tradition from an African culture.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It's very possible. It's possible. Ryan Coogler is good at finding those cultural touchstones and just little things that make his worlds seem much more real. It's like, I can't remember who was mentioning in Creed where they have the sort of four-wheeler ATV things. There's a genuine culture of that in Philadelphia right now that Ryan Coogler knew about and wanted to work into Creed to make Philadelphia feel more real in the way that the original Rocky's Philadelphia felt real.
And it does. Whether it actually is authentic to a specific African culture or not, I don't know. But it feels like it. Apologies, the battery died.
Again. It's just a part of the show now.
Yeah, it's a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Which we kind of do need to wrap up anyway.
Yeah.
But to finish what I was saying about T'Challa, is the fact that he's a very caring person. When he's Black Panther, he's an assured fighter and he's great. He did freeze once, which they give him so much crap about, and I love it. Yeah. It's the family dynamics in this are great because Shuri and he totally act like siblings.
And Ramonda too. Part of what makes this work so well is that the family feels like a family more than it does a royal family.
Yeah.
I don't imagine that Elizabeth and Charles joke with each other.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, not the way that Ramonda and T'Challa do.
Yeah. This feels like a family who happens to be royal.
Yeah.
Not a royal family.
Yeah, they have little quirks and patterns of speech that clearly have been developed over the course of several years.
Yeah.
I love that the hand slap thing that ends with this that
they have kind of their own secret handshake.
Yeah. And Letitia Wright and Chadwick Boseman do it so naturally that it feels so easy to do. And Ramonda has that sort of kid.
Hey, monkey. You doing?
Yeah. Angela Bassett's Ramonda has that sort of endeared quality. I don't know what. Like she's so used to them, and she just fits right into the family dynamic so well. Yeah, and also T'Challa, he's very self-assured when he's Black Panther, but when he's just T'Challa, he's clearly he's trying to figure out how to be a good king, and he's awkward around girls, especially. And what's her name? Nakia. Kid. Dean, down.
Who's his ex, and so clearly he doesn't. He clearly doesn't quite know how to behave around girls, and he's kind of awkward, and it's really, but it's adorably so. He clearly has a lot of respect for women. It's just. I don't know how to be me around a girl. Yeah, he spent so much time learning how to be a king that doesn't necessarily know how to just be a man at times. Yeah, he's super adorable and cute, and I just want to hug him. Yeah. Other than that, there are so many themes going on here. Again, if you want to read Black Panther comics, I highly suggest Jungle Action stuff, the McGregor and Billy Graham run. There's a thing going around the internet that talks about publishers told Jack Kirby that he needed to put more white people in Black Panther, so he had him fight the Klan. No, that didn't happen. The whole fighting the Klan bit, that was from McGregor and Graham. And their run, including that storyline, was actually cut short because Jack Kirby was coming back from DC after creating the Fourth World stuff, and they wanted to make a big deal out of it and give him a king to write. So they gave him Black Panther, cutting the McGregor-Graham run short. It was the first time that Black Panther was given his own book, and while it's Jack Kirby, so of course it's full of really just out there amazing ideas, it's probably one of the least of the Black Panther runs. Priest's run is, again, it has his weird sense of humor, but
It's definitely, I think, more important and does more for the character. Hudlin's run does great, and the current run with Ta-Nehisi Coates is absolutely phenomenal. Highly, highly recommended. And that's where most of this movie draws from, particularly visually, but also just tonally. So, yeah, if you're going to read Black Panther, those are probably the ways to go. But you should definitely see the movie one way or another.
Go see it. Go see it multiple times.
Yeah.
We're
going to see it at least one more time.
Yes.
Sometime this week, maybe, we hope.
This movie, I think we're going to have to go Friday night.
Yeah, whatever. It's
Wednesday. But yeah, this movie is amazing. It's worth seeing multiple times. I can go on and on and on and on and on, and I won't.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. It's so good. This is a very Shakespearean movie in the best way possible. This is very, very dramatic. This is. I think Doug Walker said it feels like a Greek tragedy.
Yeah. If anything, if you were to compare it to any other movie, I would say the first Thor is probably the closest of it. But imagine if in the first Thor, Thor was the villain. And not like a villainous version of Thor, but the Thor that we were given, who is a bit of a jock and kind of selfish and doesn't quite understand how things... Imagine if that was just our villain. And that's sort of where you've got what you've got here, in the sense that Killmonger is not always portrayed as a bad person, but rather a person who makes bad choices because of his life.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it is astonishing to see.
Yeah, this has taken not just Marvel movies, but movies in general up a notch.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is going to be on some top 10 greatest movies of the year list.
Easily.
It definitely for sure on ours.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of been going back and forth about where we think it falls in the in the ranking of the MCU movies. The more I think about it, I think it's number 1.
It's definitely in my top 5. It is hard to... about the only thing that really disappointed me about this at all is that the score was not that impressive to me. But most Marvel movies, with the exception of Thor Ragnarok, Avengers, and Doctor Strange, really don't have phenomenal scores. I mean, Strange, just thinking about themes... the Strange theme, the da 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 da, that bit, that's very, very distinctive. Possibly the most distinctive theme in a Marvel movie. The Avengers theme is, of course, very, very.
Yeah.
You have you have that with the circle thing, and everybody's seen that.
Right.
And then, of course, the Thor Ragnarok score, which had all of that wonderful, synth rock feel to it.
All the bombast.
Exactly. That being said, though, the soundtrack on this, with the Kendrick Lamar stuff, is phenomenal. Really well done.
Yes.
I'm talking strictly just the instrumental background stuff, which is functional, but not standout. The work that Kendrick Lamar did for this is excellent, and I kind of want to get the soundtrack for that.
The thing I will say about it did, and I'm not a person who really pays too much attention to the music unless something really stands out to me. So I didn't have an issue with it. I would say it did feel very African, because there are, mainly I think because there are African drums throughout.
Yeah.
Which was a nice touch. And I think there were also some other African instruments in there. I don't, I couldn't.
I have no doubt that was considered in the instrumentation. That when they were, that whoever composed this definitely was thinking that.
Yeah.
In much the same way that the costume designer apparently... One thing that I thought was kind of interesting about the costume design is that instead of trying to create something entirely original, she drew from other countries because modern African nations are very, very cosmopolitan when it comes to clothing, and they tend to share a lot of ideas, different regional ideas and whatnot, in the same way that every other country in the world does.
Sure.
So Wakanda being arguably the most cosmopolitan of African nations within the MCU, of course they're going to draw from stuff that's happening in Haute Couture in Ghana or South Africa or anything
Nigeria.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very... Yeah, the costumes feel very... At least my impression of African. Again, hey, that's as... I say that as a white person. But... And really just... And gorgeous. Just gorgeous. This movie is so colorful. This movie is beautiful, and the costumes are beautiful. I hope the costume designer gets something for this.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. That would be amazing.
Because they were all unique. Like the Dora Milaje had some very unique armor. Shuri makes armor for herself that's different and unique, but really, really cool looking. It was cool. They had one of the things they have along with battle rhinos. The men of the tribe that Wakabi's from, the guys who raise the rhinos, they wear a sort of a shawl.
Yeah.
Draped over, it's like tied on this side and then it's draped over the left shoulder. And that seems to be like, when you see in the final battle, they pull it up and it makes it somehow...
It's a force field, basically.
It has a force field attached to it. Which was, I was like, oh, that looks very African, but yet at the same time it's like a modern weapon.
Yeah. One thing I also noticed that was kind of... when Killmonger is about to fight T'Challa for the crown, one of the things that he does first is he takes the spear that he has and he breaks off the bottom to make it a short spear, which is one of the weapons and why the Zulu nation was so... basically had their own empire, is because they were masters of this shortened spear that they use. And in a way that's also a reference to the fact that the actor who played T'Chaka is South African. And a lot of the Wakandan languages in this is drawn from Xhosa, which is more of a South African language, but theoretically could have gone as far north as Wakanda.
Sure.
But in Civil War, essentially, they were going to just be speaking to each other in English with the accents T'Challa and T'Chaka, and the actor who played T'Chaka basically said, well, why don't we see if we can teach you a little bit of my native language so that it sounds a little bit more authentic, and it worked, and as a result, that's sort of where the linguistic background of this comes from.
Now, Chadwick Boseman, did we look him up? Is he... What nationality is he?
I did not look him up. No.
He's either American or British, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because Michael B. Jordan's American, and or I probably should say African American.
Yeah, Chadwick Boseman's American.
Oh, he's American. Okay.
Yep.
Because Daniel Kaluuya is British. So point being, he's an American who picked up an African language that presumably he'd probably never spoken before.
Yeah.
And
on set.
Yeah, on set, and seems like a native speaker, which, well done, sir. Good job. That's an impressive thing. I've worked with languages. They're not easy.
I think that's basically it for now. We really could go on for a long time. I could go on just on the comic connections here. I'm not going to read Jungle Action, read Priest stuff, read the Hudlin run, read the current run. Read those things.
This movie's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
and watch the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Go see this movie. Go see it. This deserves to be seen by everybody. It's a great MCU movie, and it's a Shakespearean drama, and it's a great action movie.
Yeah.
So it's almost no. I can think of very few people who wouldn't like this.
Yeah.
Racists. Yeah. If you're everybody else, go see this.
Yeah. Immediately.
It's great, and there's a lot of fun in it, and good characters, and yeah, I can go on, and we won't. So.
All right. So, that being said.
Oh. One thing. Sorry, just really quick. I'm sorry. I did get a bit pissed off because the first trailer we saw before this was the trailer for the Death Wish remake. Somebody is really, really not paying attention.
Yeah.
Guys, no.
Whatever.
No.
It'll appeal to somebody, but we didn't need the first Death Wish, but at the very least that made it clear that Charles Bronson is not a good guy.
Well, and
the book even more so.
The movie is still somewhat of a satire, is my understanding.
Yes.
Of the culture at the time.
The first one, at least. Yes.
Yes. So, and assumably this one does not seem to be. Which, oh boy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
On the other hand, Ant-Man and the Wasp we got that was fun looking.
Yes.
Deadpool 2, we got that one.
Which looks amazing.
Yeah. Venom looks. Yeah, I love Venom, but I'm not excited by this trailer.
It's Tom Hardy.
Yeah, I'll see it.
Hope.
I'll see it for Tom Hardy. That'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Strangely enough, we did not get an Infinity War trailer, which I expected.
I'm willing to bet that they put the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer in there on purpose.
I suppose. I guess. Yeah. But anyway.
But we'll be back for all of those.
Yes. So.
All right. So I've been Kara.
And I'm Debbie.
Take care.